So first of all, Stephen, can California do this?
Well, the answer is that they've got a couple of things in their favor. It's 27 years between now and 2045, and the cost of storage, energy storage or battery storage, which would be a major means of carrying this out, is continuing to fall. We see it down 40% between now and 2025, and have every reason to think it's going to keep falling after that.
So what is it that's going to help California do this? We are seeing the economics of clean energy, of solar and wind, get better.
The economics are getting much better, and California draws from a very, very long extension cord, if you will. In addition to the power that it generates in state, California acquires electricity from Canada, Mexico, and most of the states in between. So the pool is very broad. The renewable resources, especially for wind and solar, are very attractive. And as we know, California is an innovative place.
So do we need new technology, or has that technology been developed already?
We always need new technology for meeting goals like this. And of course, it's impossible to predict what the exact outlines of the technology might look like. But between now and 2030, when some of the interim mandates start to kick in of this new law, it's very likely that we'll see step changes in the technology development in solar power, as well as in battery storage, which are two very important tools to get there.
And yet we're continuing to see the administration roll back clean power related protections. You know, how difficult is this going to be to do state by state without the support of the administration?
Well, the fact is that in the present environment, the present political environment, if it's going to be done in the U.S., it's going to have to be done state by state. Now, the opportunity exists, and several states are looking into forming consortia whereby they could more or less join forces, not just on the goals and mandates, but also on the means of getting there. But barring some change in policy orientation by the present president, it seems like the state-by-state approach is what we're looking at for the foreseeable future.
And can they afford it? How much will it cost to get to 100% clean power for California, for example?
Well, we don't have a number for that. We are endeavoring to arrive at one, but there are many, many variables that are going to have some direct impact, including such things as the mix of generation that's going to actually eventually be the one used. And of course, there are the ongoing cost declines in the technologies, and there are wild cards like tariffs and international exchange and foreign exchange as well.
2045 seems so close yet so far. Is it close enough to stave off the worst effects of climate change?
Well, there's an emerging consensus in the climate sector that globally we haven't done enough to prevent the 2% Celsius temperature gain that was the goal of the original climate accords. So what that means is we've dug ourselves a little bit of a deeper hole, globally speaking. In order to have significant effect on the emissions-caused aspects of climate change, it's safe to say that a tremendous amount of investment is required, as well as new commitments and large commitments by those who have already made them.
And look, let's just take this one example of rolling back these methane protections. How much can that set us back?
Well, methane is by itself is a very, very potent greenhouse gas. And we have to see what the administration's proposal is in that regard. If it involves releasing methane, raw methane into the atmosphere, then we're looking at like I said, a very potent climate change enhancer. On the other hand, if the methane can be burned off on site, as is practiced in many parts of the country, then it becomes another form of carbon dioxide pollution, which is also something that requires control, but not nearly to the extent that methane does.
Now, meantime, we've got the Global Climate Action Summit happening this week in California. This is a gathering of leaders from government, CEOs, and members of the private sector and nonprofits getting together to talk about what they are doing despite the messaging from the administration. What are you expecting to happen at this summit this week?
Well, there's a couple of things that I think are highly possible. One would be some sort of enhanced commitments and announcements by policy-oriented participants at the event. In other words, players that have existing commitments with regard to emissions reductions or technology investments, stepping those up a bit. The second one would have to do with policymakers themselves embracing some new forms of policy incentives, whether they be tax credits or carbon taxation. Either of these things seem like distinct possibilities at an event like this.